Is power better than sex? I'm not sure. Like, I don't understand how every single one of them, there's not one that will say, I'm old as I'm gonna sit down. I think it's time for me to go. Not one.
The second, the establishment that was retiring, that did not have this seat anymore, learned that Valdez was going to be challenging her chosen successor, this lady went out and, like, I don't know, endorsed everybody that was running against the progressive challengers. The spitefulness and the petty is beyond. These folks are super entitled, and they believe they have the right not only to the seat and to the power, but also to pick who gets it next.
What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here. Welcome to On Your Left with Drill Sergeant Doug. That's me, obviously. And this is a political roundtable, the kind of roundtable that doesn't suck, right? That means we only have people on here who are telling the truth. We only have people who aren't using talking points to represent one side or the other, but actually know what the hell they're talking about. And this topic, today's topic, I think is much needed right in the time where it is, seeing as how not long from now we're going to have a midterm election, seeing as how the world is getting increasingly smaller as far as understanding how stupid we are. The rest of the world is bearing down on us because of our stupidity in electing a tangerine tornado for a president. But it's important to remember, if you're one of those people that say you can't affect anything, if you're one of those people who don't pay attention to what's going on down the ballot, all politics is local. And today, we're going to be discussing that with people who really understand it. So, I think it's more important to realize that you have more power than you know. Let's meet our guests. And we have here today an amazing group of women. And I want to make sure I say the name right. It's Kara Havens, right?
That's right. That's me.
Outstanding. And are you just, I will say you're a representative. I'll let you give your own position of citizens impeachment.
I'm the co-founder of Courage for Democracy, executive director of Citizens Impeachment. The short version of the story is we started out as a citizen advocacy group pushing for the impeachment of this obviously anti-constitutional president. And when the current Congress told us they weren't going to do anything till the midterms, we said, oh, well, all right, we're going to go ahead and make them the impeachment midterms, and we're going to field candidates to replace you. So that's what Courage for Democracy does.
Outstanding. And I have been having all kinds of courage candidates on here. That's kind of like the whole point of this show, was to make sure we were bolstering those candidates. And I appreciate the work that you're doing out there. Next, we have who I call an insider, but I'm sure she would be upset if I called her that. But what she is an amazing campaign, we call it manager, or I'll let you call it. Tell us what Strategic Solutions is.
So my name is Olivia Logan. I run Logan Strategic Solutions, and I am a consulting firm that works strictly with down ballot candidates. On rare occasions, I will do statewide and federal elections, but for the most part, my bread and butter is the state legislature. I have a lot of school board and DA candidates this year as well. So people are really starting to show some interest in their state and local elections, because those policies also impact them, and it's a little more personal in their day-to-day, and I think they're starting to pay attention to that.
And that's exactly what this whole show is about. So I'm super, super, super excited to hear like your actual on the ground live reporting of what this local voting looks like. And last but definitely not least, we have Addie Swallow. I'll call you Aiden. I'm sorry. Aiden Swallow, who is running for Arizona's local, right? Is the local house, District 19. Tell us about yourself, my friend.
Hello. So yeah, like you said, I'm Aiden Swallow. My nickname is Addie's, is what I go by, but the ballot will say Aiden and the description always says Addie. So I don't care. I go by either. But yeah, you got it kind of right. I am running for state legislature. So that's Legislative District 19 in the Arizona House of Representatives. I don't look it. I was a former veteran of nearly 20 years. And then I got out actually this year, 2026. And I decided to run. This is my first time running. So 2025, after the inauguration, I decided to start running, and I decided to stay local because I felt like that was more important to the talking points that we're talking about. I think that's more important than some of the congressional candidates or higher level candidates, because they actually impact the community more. So I decided to stay in the local race instead.
So there's two things. YouTube, I want you to understand that I'm not telling people what to think or telling you how to vote or how to think about voting. But I am saying that there are two main reasons why, if you didn't know about why local politics, all politics being local, one is because of what those votes mean later on, and one is what those votes mean in the right now, in the immediate. And you just spoke to it. When you say, Aiden, that you can kind of have more of an effect on your local district or your local township or whatever it is, your county, your city, when you're local, I'm guessing that you mean simply because the votes that you make there actually translate like within a reasonable amount of time. You vote for a bill for a road, within a couple months, you're going to see what that bill is doing. You vote for a school district, something happening inside that school, within a couple of weeks, you're going to see it happen, right?
But basically, like when you see the national stuff come down or you see Congress rule on something, oftentimes you might not even see any action on it that year. But when the legislature votes on something, when they pass a bill or a law, oftentimes you start seeing those ramifications pretty soon afterwards. So,
yeah. All right. So I'm going to open up the floor, let everybody get in here. I want to talk about that exact thing. And I'm going to preface it with this idea. There are people who say they don't vote. They don't vote for the presidential, the senators. They don't vote for federal, but they do vote for just their city, or they do vote for local people. I'm going to go ahead and try to dismiss that idea, but I want to give it validity. Why would someone say that? Tell us, in your experience, what it is that they're saying when they say that, because I think I have an idea, but I'm going to let everybody else talk first. Anybody want to go in?
So I have a college friend, and he and his wife, they only vote on like ballot initiatives or anything that's going to impact issues, because they are so cynical and jaded by politicians that they don't think any politician, regardless of party, is actually going to reflect their values or listen to them. And so I think that's one major issue that we have going on. And I also think because of our lack of education around civics in general, people don't understand what their local officials actually can do for them. So they don't turn out as much. Like, there are the niche few people that turn out for local elections consistently, but they're usually well read and they understand what these local positions actually do. And by and large, most people only turn out for presidentials consistently. because everyone or most everyone is aware of what the president does. And so
Or they
that's,
think they know.
or they think they know. Yes. Yeah. And it's an education problem as well, not just a politics issue.
Very true. Very true. So I want to, Carrie, anything to add to that?
Yeah, let me just say that I run federal candidates. Everybody is either in the state or the Senate, with one exception in Illinois that got in real early when she made a bold stance, Demi Palachuk in Illinois. And along with Dylan Blaha, she said, you know what? In the National Guard, military members don't have to follow illegal orders. And that vaulted her to the national stage. And she came in with our first group of courage candidates. It is really normal for people not to know who their representative is. It is really normal for politically engaged people not to be really sure if they need to talk to their representative or to their senator, right? They both kind of represent them. So which one is it that you go talk to? At the national level, the people are in the news. There are millions of dollars floating around. There is there's a big disconnect, right, from the actual everyday issues, like, oh man, I need this pothole filled, and the kind of like violent team sport that national politics is. And so all I want to add here is that they should be connected. They should be connected. What should happen is that at the precinct level, you should have people that operate for the party and know their neighborhood and bring people out to vote. The polling places should be accessible. That should roll up into the county party. The county party should be connected to the state party, and the state party should be connected to the national party. And all of this sounds so obvious, but it does not happen.
Why not?
The Democratic Party does not do this. The National Party does not connect with the state party. The state party does not work with the counties. The counties are sometimes just like one guy's social club. And the precincts, the precinct officers are often like half full. We don't even have people in the positions that should connect the local work to the federal work. And that makes it really difficult for everybody to have faith in these elections, right? Because how on earth are you supposed to get somebody to federal office that understands what your issues are at your hometown if there's no communication? It makes no sense.
Addie, I see you shaking your head over there. You and just about every other Democratic candidate that I've brought in here would shake their head at the same time. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, everything she said is absolutely true. I mean, the politics is, especially, it kind of sucks, actually. I actually kind of hate being a politician most times. Well, I haven't won yet, but either way, I'm in the game now. I kind of hate it because now I see the backdoor stuff. I see the kind of little things that are happening, and I know how little the Democratic parties kind of help, especially at the national level, that they kind of help it or they engage. I mean, it's part of the reason that in my state specifically, we've had the same two legislators have run LD19 for either one is 25 years and the other one is like coming up on that, right?
Wow.
There's a reason that they are able to run that long, because people don't pay attention and they don't know, and the parties don't help it for sure. So, yeah.
So, staying with why it's important, one of those major things that I heard you say, Kira, is this money. The millions and billions that are floating around for federal races are... Well, for one, you don't need that much if you're running locally, but it would be nice to have some money. It would be nice to have.
It depends on the race too, because I was actually having a conversation. I was at a Democratic Party thing with a client yesterday, and well, actually two clients. They're both running for school board. One's running for an at-large position, and the other's running for a local.
We're going to talk about school board in a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but people have this misconception that it takes less money to run for school board. But in a county like Fairfax, you need at least $100,000 to run for an at-large school board seat. And without that, you can't do mailers, you can't do digital. You're not going to be able to hit enough doors to turn out people to win. And so you have to have the mail and the digital, because it takes 12 to 14 touches to get a person's name recognized that's on the ballot, especially if they're starting from a zero name recognition.
Right.
So yeah, it's actually more expensive than people realize, and that's a chronic problem I run into as someone who, like, this is my bread and butter, working with state ledge all the way down to your school board and like city council people. They don't get enough money, and so it's harder for them to run their races. And you either can run, you have to have either a lot of money or a lot of people power, but you can't have just minimal resources. You have to have one, the other, or both.
So here is the thing from the voter side, right? Not someone working on the other side, but from the voter side. If you believe that there's too much money in politics, there's one sure way to ensure that you can have the most effect without all that money being spent, and that's voting locally, because they don't have it. The person you're voting for locally doesn't have the billions, and they're not going to have the commercials. But if you vote the right ones in, they can bring these ideas up. So I want to get back to, why is there no pipeline? Because what the Republicans did when they realized that voting locally mattered, and if you want to know how voting here in your house around your neighborhood matters, find out when Republicans started putting all of their money in school boards, places where the fucking library can go down, and in the local place where there's just a bit too many white folks and they want to keep it that way, in the school where they want to make sure that they have the Bible up or the Ten Commandments up. Find out when they decided that, oh, by the way, if we actually put money in these local places of people who actually we know want what we want, we can have control of those places and then grow from there. Whereas the Democrats seem to always be like, well, who's the cutest face? Well, no, not since Trump, but who's now that's what he does, right? But who is the new Bluebell, right? Who is this? And I can spend $1 billion on this race and $1 billion on that race. Mm-hmm. And every single person, Addie included, that has come here has said the same thing. There is no pipeline. There is no pipeline to school board, to dog catcher, to mayor, to damn near not even governor. Like there's, mm-hmm. Where is that money going? Why can't we build that up? And how do we encourage them, Kara, to start working right?
We kick them out of office and let them know that is unacceptable. Like that is, I mean, it sounds like I'm joking here, but that's the only thing that they care about.
No, it's not a joke.
They will lose their jobs if they do not actually take this seriously. As far as the money swirling around, right? I mean, in the last year, we've had 4 Democrats die in office, 1 Republican, and there are plenty more that are waiting to kick, right? Plenty more that are 80 odd years old. These people do not want to leave their seat. They do not want to give up their power. There's in California 7, Doris Matsui, a Democratic representative, raised up the Republican challenger to her seat rather than allow a progressive, Mai Vang, to challenge her like one-on-one in the jungle primary.
Are you serious?
Mai Vang won anyway because she is that good, and props to that lady, right? But the goal here is to retain power. They do not want a bench. They do not want people that are good at their jobs that are going to make them fight. That is not a feature of the system. Not if you want to stay in that seat till you die.
Karen Bass did the same thing in the LA mayoral. I mean, and luckily it didn't work out, but Yeah, they're playing those games, and um, it's hard to build a bench when they're so distracted protecting their own interests. And then when they actually have an advantage, which has been like forever since they've had any type of advantage, they squander it and they don't think about bench building. And then they have to, like, they've lost their majority, and then they have to work from a place of being reactive instead of proactive. And so if you're always having to work from that place of reactivity, you're never going to have time to think about planning for the future.
Uh, is power better than sex? I'm not sure. Like, I don't understand how every single one of them, there's not one that will say, I'm old as fuck, I'm gonna sit down. I think it's time for me to go. Not one. If they're not taken away by a wheelchair or an ambulance, they're 6 feet in the ground, or there's a scandal that finally happens.
Well, let me tell you a terrible story. And granted, this is from the federal, right? But in New York, right? In New York, you had three folks that won Mamdani's crew, right? You had this establishment was shocked. One of those members of the establishment had handpicked the successor to their seat. She was retiring, and the successor was going to have an uncontested election. And then Claire Valdez stepped in. And Claire Valdez was on the Mamdani train. The Knicks won, the city went wild, right? And like, boom, skyrocketed popularity. The second the establishment that was retiring, that did not have this seat anymore, learned that Valdez was going to be challenging her chosen successor, this lady went out and, like, I don't know, endorsed everybody that was running against the progressive challengers. The spitefulness and the petty is beyond. These folks are super entitled, and they believe they have the right not only to the seat and to the power, but also to pick who gets it next.
This
terrible.
Aiden, go ahead, talk. And you're sitting there agreeing with everything. But I want your experience. Same.
Well, I mean, so I hate to go back to this, but there's a reason that legislators keep being able to be in power for 20 something years. You know, it's this entitlement. It's this idea that you can just keep on running and going. And I mean, I don't have much to add. They're completely right. So, but I mean, I see it here down in the legislative races down in Arizona. Like, that's, you know, I've been to the Capitol a few times and I've seen them, and like, I'm like, you know, some of them are like, I don't know, they might die in office. I don't know. Yeah. You know, but some of them are just, you know, they've been there forever.
So what are you doing in Arizona to get around it? What have you been doing? What's your strategy to deal with it, since you're not getting the money from the Democratic Party, and obviously now not the looks? How do we deal with it?
Yeah, so I mean, so this is what I'm doing. Like, I may be a little bit of a disruptor because, you know, I don't follow a lot of political advice necessarily, but I've been going out and just running on very policy heavy stuff and really kind of pushing the affordability and the issues that Arizona has had that they haven't been doing. And then I've been using the idea that, well, the career politicians who you keep electing aren't fixing anything, and they've been getting worse and worse and worse for 50 years. So that's really how I've been getting around it, because people are, even down here in rural Arizona, they're tired. They're tired of seeing the same shit, or can I even say that? I don't know. The same shit happen over and over again, and nobody's fixing anything. So that's really what I'm running on, is the disruptor that's kind of coming in and wanting to change everything. So.
And that's how Trump got elected, right? Right. Federally, he got elected because people are tired. They don't know where to go. Most of them were racist or closet, or didn't know they were racist, and just had that boiling up inside of them that they wanted this guy who said these things. But mainly, it was because I'm doing bad and I'm kind of tired of where we are. We've been on this trajectory for a while. But when you're in this, we're like in a specific position where I don't think you have to apologize for saying we're in the same shit, for cursing. I don't think you have to apologize for just about anything anymore. People want the disruptor. People want something different because what's been there hasn't been working. But when you're not getting the looks, like I said, when you're not getting the looks from Democrats, from establishment people, how would you best go about doing what she said, Olivia? She says she's trying to push this message and that message. You only have $100,000. How would you best go about it? What's a plan of action of getting people mobilized when you can't get help from the Democratic Party? And then we're gonna talk about how we do that too afterwards.
Yeah, sure. I mean, so most people work with me early on because they know they're not going to have the resources from the establishment unless they're an incumbent. And so we spend a lot of time fundraising, coaching, and then working on their online presence. Some candidates come in, they've never been online to save their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it's good to do a media coaching session, a messaging session to make sure they have their 3 core messages. And then also get them out on the doors, get them on the phones, get their name out. And once they've raised, like, you don't need that much money to run a digital program. Like, I have a state ledge race that came to me. It's like 6 weeks out from their primary. They're in Massachusetts. I think we're going to have like 50-60 grand, and we're going to put, we're going to do a paid media ID, a paid ID program. So that's like paying people to do phone calls and knock on doors, just to gauge where voters are and to also boost awareness of the name. And then we're also going to spend a couple thousand on digital programs, just to do some streaming and banner ads so their names are appearing online. And then we're also gonna do mailers for the last, I think 5 weeks now, and hope that helps them. But it really depends on how soon you can get in front of people, and it depends on if you have the right people on your team telling you where to go.
Yeah.
And how to get from point A to point B, because not everyone knows how to do it. And unfortunately, the party has made it a mystery by design, I think.
A mystery
Yes.
by design.
A mystery by design.
In
So
other words,
candidates
they give it to who
they
they
don't know
want
where to
to
go.
So here's the last piece of the puzzle here. So we're not going to get help from these Democrats. Matter of fact, I think we will, because I think as we start to vote them out, I think Domney has the right message. Like, look, I'm going to start endorsing the people I like, and there's a few other people out here that are getting in places where they can start endorsing and show the party that they're no longer with the majority of their own party. But for the person who needs convincing as to not only why being able to vote locally works for me, as in my school board and the power that I'm giving to the school board, or my city and the power that I'm giving to the police officers, or are they going to join with ICE when ICE comes? Like, is there a bill up that I can talk about that's less local? But besides just that, as a federal election person, you have just been running candidates for Senate, I believe, and House, right, for a year now. What would you say to the person? How does that local election, that local head person, that local school person, that local chief, that local mayor, help you for that big federal race, voting for these things, either long term or short term?
One thing that I'd really like to do better or at all right next time around is do the cross endorsement with down ballot races, because again, those are the people that are actually in the neighborhood. Those are the people that are actually doing the work. Those are the people that know, let's take data centers for example, right? Data centers are a nationwide issue right now, right?
Yeah.
They're in the media, they're a big concept in the press. The way you fight a data center is you get down to the local municipality and you figure out what regulations you can show up for and say, absolutely not. You are not allowed to take power or water, or you need, or sewer facilities, or you can't break ground here, or there's a environmental protection here, right? The people at the federal level that can do something like a nationwide regulation on AI and data centers cannot stop individual data centers from being built. Those are all people at the local level. But if you're
There you
able to
go.
say, hey, team data center, go to hell, right? Like if you can find those
Yeah.
people, line them up, and then walk neighborhoods with this one issue and say, here's your slate of people. These guys are going to fight at the zoning regulation level. These guys are going to fight at the city level. And these guys are going to fight it at the national level. That's a really powerful message. Right now, it's like every man for themselves. As I said, there's no communication, right? But if you are able to do that, if you're able to show all these people are working towards the same goal, I mean, I feel like voters are going to be way more inclined to participate in that.
Yeah. You know what else, too? When you say that, it reminds me, there's another idea about why local can make movement and affect things really quickly, is because they're also more accountable. When you have 6 million people in a state, or 20 million people in a state, and you're a senator, there's a lot of maneuvering and vote getting and things you can do. When you're in charge of 2,000 people, like, every single one of them can show up, bro. Like, every single one of them can be there. And will those people who actually are engaged in that type of politics, can you imagine?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to give an example of that exact thing happening in local areas. There's been like 3 instances and more than that I can talk about in Arizona specifically. Right now, they're fighting the data centers in Marana, and they're all doing that at the local level, like less than legislative level, right? So they're fighting it there. And then in the Sierra Vista, which is the town I live in, deep red Cochise County, we showed up and we got the flock cameras denied, and because we showed up to the town meeting and they're like, no, okay, we'll deny them. We got the solar projects approved when we went to town hall. So like these local things, when you come out for this local stuff, that's how you make the impact. It's not the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually is, I was going to go somewhere else, but I'm just going to take it here. That is how I think we have to look at long term. So not only voting locally help you personally right here with that project, but when they say all politics is local, and I'm going to have everybody can sound off on this if I'm getting it right, what I think I've learned in my little short time here. When they say all politics is local, it's if you have 15 different counties that have all decided to go solar, then the electric company has to do something different than what they were doing in order to accommodate that, or to fail, and then maybe everybody gets solar. And then if everybody has solar, or if there's an infrastructure there, or if people had to change because there were so many people who voted for this thing, it then means that person, that electricity company or that solar company, is now either in a better or worse position to affect the local state. And if that local state, like California does, why they say what California does, so shall the rest of the country go eventually. Because if they have that momentum, and if the state is doing it, and now you have to supply resources for solar for this entire state because they finally did that, all of a sudden it becomes a national issue. And I'm just using that like, I'm not sure that that's how that went at all, but to show the logical end to why voting locally means everything. And those things trickle up, not down. And that money comes down only when they see that you need it. That's kind of how I look at it. That's kind of how I explain it.
Does it trickle down when they see you need it, y'all? I feel like that doesn't happen so often.
No. I'm sorry. I was mistaken. You guys were thinking I meant you. What I meant was rich people and owners and donors need it. So when that electric company needs it, all of a sudden solar panels will become subsidized if they think that they can get enough money for it. That's what I mean. And so what you do locally, that 1,000 people that can affect this guy or that guy, you have a much more chance of those people, keeping you away from your pitchfork. And that's pretty much all we can ask for. That's my interpretation of it. I'll let you guys tell me, what do they mean? All politics is local. Take it broad. Am I right? Am I in the ballpark?
I think so. I mean, I look at this from a lens of most of my strategies begin with understanding each district I'm working in, all the demographics, influential people and organizers and organizations in the area, our local journalists, community leaders, and the issues that are impacting voters every day. The national trends obviously provide context, but most of the campaigns that I'm working with are most effective when they're rooted in the realities of the communities that they're representing.
Yeah, the solar power example is actually a great one, right? Because that involves like actual physical infrastructure that has to change, right? If you've got a county that decides that they're going to get 70% of their energy from solar, the power company has to do that somehow, right? They're going to have to acquire that energy somehow. There is like this is a shaping function. It forces things to change in some way. And for a company, once you have to change a little bit, it's actually easier to just keep changing and to do the whole thing at the economy of scale in a different way than it is to like kind of have a million different ways of doing it. So forcing change in a concrete way at the local level makes a difference for larger institutions. And the same is true for at the national level as well. Impeachment is the thing that we started with. We're still working on that. We have been asked to interact with all the counties in the United States and ask them all to pass impeachment resolutions on their own. And then we'll feed that up to the state level. And then that will go to the national level because none of these people have a spine and their own integrity.
Yep.
They're going to borrow it from you. So they have to know that you are there as the backstop and you are going to make them do their job. So yeah, I'm all about local mobilization. Do it. Get loud.
Anything to add?
No, I think I think it's really important just to know that I think one of the reasons that they say all politics is local also is just that everything that we do impacts the community in some kind of way. So that's one thing I think,
right? Like that's where the laws get implemented. That is where the actual human beings that are then under some regulation or not, that's where they interact with the doctor and with the tradesman or the plumber or whatever. That is where the interaction happens. And that's why having people at the local level who will do the right thing when nobody's looking is super critical, because any stupid law that gets passed cannot be implemented if the people on the ground don't implement it. That's that. It's as simple as that, right? Like that is a real and true protection for the people of the United States. Colorado has had this conversation for a couple of years now, honestly, because that's where I'm from, because we're blue top to bottom. And so what happens if the federal government criminalizes abortion? Well, the state can put rules in place to protect themselves and their population. It's a super critical element of politics.
How the hell
I
did
don't know what to
Lauren
say about that.
Boebert come from Colorado? What is going on over there?
You know, I used to live in her district. I used to live all the way out on the western slope in the middle of the rural Wild West, West Slope, Best Slope.
Okay.
Yeah, but she was chosen. She was, you know, basically a casting call, and she took it. She actually moved over to the eastern side of the state because the western side of the state, when we redistricted, there was it was unlikely that she would keep her seat, but she's useful, and so they moved her over to Colorado 4, I think, instead of Colorado 3. And she's a great example of. I mean, she first came to power when Hillary Clinton was running. And I remember calling folks out there as part of the Clinton campaign, actually, if you can believe that, and having folks say, I'm not going to vote for the president. I'm not going to vote for anybody. I'm just going to vote for Lauren Boebert because I know her face and her name, and I like how sassy she is. Like that was the thought process. People are sick.
How about this? How about this? The number one reason to vote locally, especially for school board, is to stop people like that from voting. Everybody needs to be smarter than a fifth grader to vote. This is how they got you. Why do you think Republicans win so daggone much and do so daggone little? It's because they've been planting seeds in children for 50 years to grow up to be morons. And it's worked because we didn't vote for our school library, because we didn't vote for the school board. We thought it was okay to let it get handled. It's not that big a deal. They were voting every day for the school board, for the private school, for the vouchers.
Sure.
50 years later, we have morons voting for an orange, bloated buffoon.
I don't know if y'all are the same age I am, but I mean, as a kid, my parents told me that politics was like a gross thing other people did. Like it was not something to aspire to. It was not something that you should work hard at. It was not like a important. It was just full of crooks and go do something good with your life was the message that I got as a kid. And that is not at all how Republicans view power or politics or the resources needed to secure them. And I think that's just something to recognize as different, as something that needs to change. And I mean, Addie, you can probably speak to this as somebody who decided to run, right? There's how do you see power in politics now? How do you have that conversation?
Oh man, so like I said, I got into politics because I felt like a change needed to happen. I still don't like being called, a politician. I still think it feels gross, right? So for me, I'm not sure if that's ever going to change for me because I grew up with the same kind of mindset in a lot of different ways. But I, like seeing the power that's here. I mean, even in the Democratic Party, right? Like I talk more shit about the Republican Party, but even in the Democratic Party, like power's a problem. They just kind of perpetuate the power of it, and it's almost like the seat's entitled, like we've already talked about. Like it's just, and the same people just are there all the time. And even if it's not even a legislator, even if it's not an elected position, you'll see the same people doing different jobs in the different organizations that are making those decisions for other people. So it's just a little good old boys club that's just has been continuing no matter what party it is, honestly.
Olivia, I just saw you shaking your head there. You were nodding on. You had something to say?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good old boy system. I was one of my clients is running against an incumbent in a primary that's next year. And there was definitely like a difference in the conversations that we were having with like the old guard and the new people were super excited about her, because this school board member has kind of been a disaster. And I clocked it from day one. We had actually run a coordinated campaign in 2023 with the state senators, the House of Delegates, the district supervisor, and the school board. And this person was the weakest link. So it did not surprise me when they started actually getting involved after the post-election on the school board that it was going to be a disaster.
Right.
And once somebody stepped forward that actually knew what they were doing, and has actually been an educator, which is also key here, so they actually know what the schools need. We were very excited to start working with her and getting her plugged in. Now we're starting to see pushback. Like the old guard is saying, "Oh yeah, we like primaries, but," and I'm like, no, there's no but. Like the primaries set the tone,
Right.
and like here's my frustration. I actually had a conversation with like the district chair of the party. I was like, up until recently, the last time I voted in a fair primary was 2008. And I can honestly say, like, even though it was contentious, it was fair because I'm originally from Arkansas. And we were supporting Obama in a state where we were told in the primary we should be supporting a Clinton.
Right.
Yeah, and no, we were not. And when we questioned that status quo, people were not happy about it.
Yeah.
And I fundamentally believe that was the election that changed the way that Democrats put their thumb on the needle for primaries.
Why? That's too much to ask. Listen.
Yeah.
I'll say this. I want to end it on this note. It's been brought up a few times by all three of you, but there's another idea. Not what you can do for yourself. Your actual governing, the things that affect you day to day, matter more locally because you're here. But not only the future projection or the long-term goals of making consensus of ideas and ideals that the Democratic Party then has to conform to over time. Think of Mamdani. But there's a third thing, and that is protecting yourself from the bullshit that's already happening. Like right now, the big beautiful bill is passed, but not every district is going to feel it the same. Remember that your local district, your local voting, your mayor, your pocket of blue in a red state, or if you're good enough, if you're in a blue state with this egomaniacal red maniac in office, you can vote for protections, for things that'll help it be a little bit better while this is going on. So even if for nothing else, you don't understand why it's important to vote locally, or you just don't get it, or you just didn't think it was that important, think now of the umbrella, of the protection that you're going to need while these fascists are in office, and realize that there's things on the ballot right now that can help protect you from what the hell is coming down from the federal. That's my last assessment. You guys talk about that. Am I correct on that? Am I giving it too much weight?
Oh man, I mean, I don't think so, right? I mentioned that Colorado's blue, top to bottom. Our governor Polis, he pardoned Tina Peters, who is the election fraud, right? And tampered with the election machines, and he pardoned her from a sentence that she was serving. That had already been convicted, right? No confusion there. The second she got out, she started using her platform again to talk about how she has been vindicated. And now, the I cannot stress enough the need for courage at every single level of the
That's not
democracy.
even lack of
There's
courage.
no spine.
It was already
Yeah.
done. He didn't need he needed courage to pardon her. He had to build up courage. He had to actually actively build up courage to pardon her, because you know that nobody's going to like that.
Well,
Why?
he was getting pressure from the federal side, right? He was getting pressure from Trump to pardon Tina Peters, and he caved. That's simple as that. That is.
Is he trying to run for Senate? Because that just doesn't make sense to me.
I'm like, well, wait a minute.
So much does not make sense.
Like,
He wasn't running this year. I can tell you that much. And this is going to be the only thing that he gets remembered for.
yeah.
But it is because he simply did not have the courage of his convictions, man. Like he caved. And yeah, you do need people who are willing to ask, well, what do I do when? How do I protect my people? Because this is the question at the heart of every single seat, right? Of every single elected official should be asking, how do I serve my people? And most folks are not asking that question right now.
What is it that you're looking to do to protect Arizonans, Addie, when you get elected?
So, I mean, one of I always go on three big things. I have another one, which is affordability, but I focus on three big things mainly, and it's healthcare, water, and public schools. And I'll just talk about the healthcare for a little bit. That's always been my biggest thing, because I wanted to establish something called Arizona Shield, which the reason I called it that was that it was meant to supplement access, which is the federal healthcare that you get in Arizona specifically, was to supplement access in order to help the people who are going to be kicked off of healthcare or who already don't have healthcare or can't afford it from the HR1 or the big beautiful bill. And so that's always been my big number one, because the moment that I get elected will be in November. And at that point, well, the election probably won't take place till afterwards, but like the election goes in November and the big beautiful bill will already take effect by then. Right. So that's always been my biggest priority when I talk about it. But there's also a reason that when I talk about water issues or public schools, I always talk about how the citizens themselves are affected by those very specific issues. It isn't just to get the votes. It's because that's what a legislator should be doing, is representing their people and helping them. So, I mean, for me, that's kind of just easy, like you see the problem and you go and you fix it. It seems like a very easy thing to do. I don't understand the issue here. So
money,
that's just kind of what I do. Well, there's that. Yes, of course.
Bribes. Carrie, you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say that sounds great. When you hit the federal level, come talk to us, right? Because we're looking for people that actually want to fix the problems and are actually in this to be public servants and not politicians. That's the goal.
Yeah, guys, don't be dumbasses. Just go vote. This is the deal. If you don't think that it's important, do it anyway. Do it anyway. It is the very least you can do. All of the people who tell me about what voting doesn't do, there's a threat behind it of, well, we need to mobilize and take it over. If you can't even vote, don't call me about taking anything over and mobilizing. I know who's on this channel. You guys mean well. I promise you. If you can't get the time enough and the strength enough just to do the minimum, the vote, don't hit me with we're going to take it over. You're not. You're going to be on the couch with another excuse. What I'm telling you is, I'm sorry. What I'm telling you is there are more than one reason why you should vote locally. All politics is local. We're headed into a big federal race. I wanted us to remember that. It's important that we do. Thank you, all of you. Thank you guys for being here and discussing this with me. I hope that everybody learned a little something. You guys go vote for Aiden Swallow. I mean, gosh, if you're in Arizona, like, you don't want water? I'm just saying, at some point, when you go vote, we need fighters. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you, YouTube, for watching. When you need a fighter, just remember, I'm on your left.
Go, go, go! Resist! Resist! Oh, oh, oh! Resisting! Resist! Fuck this shit's going down. That's right here, right now. The political drain. Just the news you need. Nothing driven by greed. No sipping Kool-Aid. Sims cooking on that.